Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the JayBee Milly channel. I am JayBee and today we have some news about the Blockbuster Rewinds Funko products that feature Shaggy and Velma. Now, the first one that we're kind of going to be breaking down today is the Velma, and this is interesting because I had just recorded a video that is ultimately going to be scrapped now, where I was going to look at them and speculate what the chase would be, because we all know from Funko soldiers, quite often with chases we get colorways or standard variants, so I kind of thought that this would follow suit, and then Milly kind of came up with an idea based on one of the Freddy Funkos that it would just be a black and white version. And I thought that that was a bit odd because the original 1969 show was never in black and white, but at the same time, with the Rewind branding and with how lazy Funko can sometimes be, it wouldn't have surprised me if we did just get black and white variants and, you know, colorways of the figures. But as you can see here, the chase for Velma is actually Charlie the Funland robot, which is way better than what I speculated in my cancelled video, which was literally just Velma without her glasses, because obviously Velma's thing is losing glasses, or I suppose really if I was being adventurous she could be holding a magnifying glass, but you know, I wasn't holding out too much hope as far as colour molds and stuff like that differ. But this is amazing because there's a couple of edges to this. Now, you could argue, again, with like the Funko soldiers, we had a bit of, I don't want to say controversy, but I was personally let down that the Scooby-Doo was the Scooby-Doo chase, because I thought it would have been really nice to give Scooby-Doo his own tin, and it would have been nice as a collectible, but ultimately I wasn't too mad about it. Whereas with these, for all their character themselves, as you can see on the box, isn't a main feature, I kind of think it's nice that we've got villains that possibly wouldn't be given a chance on that type of way, you know, a Charlie the Funland Robot Rewind. I don't see them doing that. Maybe a soda, obviously a Funko Pop, but I wouldn't see them doing a standalone rewind. So I think it's really cool that this happens, and we're going to speculate on the actual meanings of them a bit later when we get onto the Shaggy one, because I do feel like there is possibly a hidden meaning or some type of Easter egg that we can get from this, but I just don't remember that much about the Funland Robot episode to recall that on the top of my head. But we do have some information about this. Now, I'm going to cover both the UK, Europe and US side of things here. So, the price in the UK is £12, which I think is actually cheaper than a soda at this rate. I'm going to have to make a comparative. And the price in the US is $15, so I think that's pretty fair, pretty standard. I mean, obviously, these are luxury products, so they're not going to be really, really cheap. I think they've done something well, and especially with products that knowingly have a chase variant, obviously, you pull the chase in one, you potentially up in terms of worth, so I think that's no problem at all. Now, the description does say, Jinkies, it's time to solve a mystery with Rewind Velma Dinkley. Help this exclusive sleuth search for clues in your Scooby-Doo collection. Rewind collectible comes in VHS-inspired packaging with a matching character card. There's a 1 in 6 chance you may find the chase of Charlie the Robot. Vinyl figures is approximately 8.7 centimeters or 8.5 centimeters tall. Collectible case is approximately, and then you've got the widths. Chase variants are shipped at random. Receiving a chase with purchase is not guaranteed. And yeah, then we've got information that we've got the 2023 convention sticker. So yeah, that's pretty standard stuff. One thing I think is interesting to note about this is it literally is formatted like a soda as well. So a 1 in 6 chance. Now, that begs the question on if they're packaged like them as well, so if they're in cases. So if you go onto Funko Europe, for example, and buy 6, I wonder if they just send you, you know, a crate and you automatically get a guaranteed chase from that. Not quite sure. And as well, for all I do think they've removed this. Yesterday when we checked Funkoville, there was a little notice that said 1 item per customer, or a limit of 2 items in total per household or something. Now, I agree with that as far as exclusives are concerned, because I don't agree with, you know, bots that will just buy a load of them for the reselling market, or even scalpers for that matter. But when it comes to something that has a chase variant, I really do feel like they need to remove the limit, because a point of a chase is for people to ideally buy 2 and get 1 common, 1 chase, but more realistically, this is going to need to be open for people to buy a couple of them, and if they can, potentially, a bit of an excessive amount to get that chase, because it's a chase. So I really don't think that they should limit this. Maybe a limit of 6, maybe that is the way to go. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I think that that's something that they're going to need to check out, and we're not quite sure when these are going to be released yet. But I'm going to move on to the Shaggy now, because I think I've got a little bit more to say about that. Now here we have Shaggy, and again I'm going to kind of spoil the video because it's not coming out, of the speculation I did, and as probably you guys can predict listening to this, I thought that they were going to do the red shirt Shaggy variant as the chase, and that's simply because I think in the marketing of the Funko Blockbuster Rewind, they said that they were bringing nostalgic things back from 60s, 70s, 80s, and then of course 80s would encompass the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. I was potentially thinking they were going to go that way with things. But again, I'm glad that they did this to an extent, because again, for all Captain Cutler is iconic, and ultimately I do think and I do believe that a Captain Cutler standalone rewind would sell. I think it's a smart move encompassing this side of things, so I really like this. And if we are rewinding back to Scooby-Doo Where Are You, if I'm not much mistaken, in the episode A Clue for Scooby-Doo, I'm sure it's Shaggy that looks at a portrait of Captain Cutler and speculates about it being the ghost of Captain Cutler. Like, I think they unmask, potentially, and I could be fuzzy, and no one knows who it is, and Shaggy says, "Oh, I recognise them, it's Captain Cutler." Like, I don't know. You're going to have to correct me, I'm going to have to rewatch it, but I'm sure that Shaggy is instrumental in figuring out who Captain Cutler's ghost is. And so I'm kind of almost wondering in the back of my mind if Velma is instrumental in solving the mystery of Charlie the Funland Robot. And to that end, then I think it kind of makes sense, and then you can lean into speculating further, say, who does Fred unmask, who does Daphne unmask in the original series, and you can make it, them the chase. Now, I was a little bit disappointed after considering some of the more recent releases we have for, say, Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. And in there you see Daphne dressed as the spooky space kook, Fred dressed as the Black Knight ghost, Velma dressed as Captain Cutler's ghost, and Shaggy dressed as the ghost clown. I feel like that would be the perfect way to go about things. Like, they don't need to reference it being a reference to Trick or Treat, but I like that composition a little bit more than the one we've got here. But again, I don't know when these were into production, because I remember in our interview with the director of Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, Audie Harrison, that Charlie the Robot was meant to be in that movie, but I think was replaced by the spooky space kook. So maybe they could lean into that. But regardless, I do think we've got a nice lineup here. Again, no real official word about when these are going to drop. All we know is the Funko said at a later date. But I'll be sure to keep everyone updated on social media, so make sure to follow us using the links in the description down below. Now, I'm going to be making some speculation videos. I'm going to rewatch Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And I'm going to see what would happen if they made rewinds of Fred and Daphne, which 100% they should do. In fact, I'm disappointed that they haven't made at least a Daphne one. I think that would have been a cool thing to add in there. But again, because Daphne is my favourite character from the series, it makes sense I'll say that. I don't think they'll do a Scooby one just because it would involve Scooby standing upright, which wouldn't be unheard of, but I don't see them doing that. But hey, I mean, I think the door's open for a scrappy one. How successful that is, I'm not sure, but hey, the door's open to it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to see more, then please like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.